fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today for this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you're working on and work alongside while I chat. Or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. Today I'm going to be working on my Aquarius teacup from Bella Art Diamonds. This is a kit that I started in February that I was having some issues with, and I've put it aside, but now that I finally finished my Heaven and Earth design and I'm done with all of that, I have decided I'm going to work on this one next. I really wanted to work on Slow Jazz, but I decided I would do this one next. So let me zoom into where I'm going to be working and I will be right back. All right, so this is the pen that I was using for my Heaven and Earth design. I have reloaded my glue dots and putty, so I may have to work a bit with getting my glue dot dirty so that it works correctly. But after spending all that time working on the Heaven and Earth and all the confetti, definitely needed to change the glue dots at that point. So let me jump into my life update. What's been going on in my regular life? Not a ton. It was another quiet week. Hubby decided he wanted to rearrange the living room. So we did that a couple of days ago. While I'm not perfectly happy with how it does make the living room look a lot bigger. You may notice it on the videos with the dogs at the end. I don't know for sure which ones I'm going to be using, so we'll see if it's pre or post furniture move, but anyway, it does make the room look a lot bigger, so I like it for that reason. We're basically down to just using the wood stove for ambiance, not actually for heat, because I didn't want to rearrange it when we were still using the wood stove because the recliner would have been too close to it, but we'll see. Hubby thinks he's going to talk me into keeping it the whole year, but I don't know. But it's a nice change. It's almost spring. I told him we'll just think of this as our spring furniture setup, and then when it starts to get cold again, we'll move back to our winter setup. The dogs were a bit confused at first when we moved everything around. What are you doing? Sable went and hid upstairs in her cage while we were moving all the furniture, but they like it now because they can see out the side window, which means they have a good view of everybody walking up and down the sidewalk. So Oscar is enamored of all the people that he can see walking their dogs up and down the sidewalk. So as long as they've got their pillows in a window, they're good. I just realized I hadn't started my timer, so I had to go get it so I could start it. So even though it was a quiet week, it was interesting. Hubby found a recipe for making no-knead bread in the Dutch oven. So he made his first loaf of homemade bread, which was actually pretty good. Wasn't quite finished in the middle. We got to figure it out. Baking times and temps, because all stoves are quirky, but it was good. He also made the zero sugar donut mix that he had bought forever ago. He bought it, I think, a couple months ago, and then we didn't have like a donut pan, so he went out and bought a little mini donut pan and made little mini donuts with it. But the dogs were super upset because we put chocolate frosting on them, so they couldn't have any because they were chocolate frosting and they have big sugar in the donuts, so they were not happy that they didn't get to share in any of those treats. Friday, we woke up to snow. I was having trouble sleeping Friday night or Thursday night, so I had actually fallen asleep on the couch, and hubby came down with the dogs and woke me up and said, "It's snowing," and I look outside and it is just snowing to beat the band. I didn't even realize we were supposed to get any snow, so I was surprised. It didn't stick around. Like, it was hitting as soon as it melted, as soon as it hit the ground. So 2 hours later, you would never know it had been snowing. This is what, almost the last week of April, and it's still snowing. And I know I shouldn't be surprised. We're in Canada. I'm way farther north, but I still was. Mostly because I hadn't checked the weather and didn't realize it was going to snow. But spring is slowly approaching, and it was warm enough on Saturday that hubby went out and did a little bit of yard work, cleaned up our dog run, raked up some leaves that have been hanging around, all the ashes that got dumped from the stove, moved those, and so everything looks much cleaner and nicer. And we did actually finally buy an extended dog fence. so we can open the gate at the far end of the dog run and then extend the run so that the dogs can actually have some grass to be on, because right now our dog run is all basically pavers and concrete, which is okay, but I would like them to be able to get in the yard and feel the grass on their feet. So once that gets here, we'll get that put up, and then they'll be able to explore a little bit more of the yard. I think everybody's in a cleaning mood because this week coming up is citywide cleanup, so the city's coming to pick up all the big trash that you'd normally have to take to the dump. Hubby's going to see if that includes recycling, because our neighbors have a bunch of cardboard boxes out. We're like, if you're going to take a bunch of cardboard boxes and we don't have to break them down so they fit in the trash can, then we have a shed and a basement full of boxes. We have a bunch of boxes from the move, and then of course boxes from all the stuff that we've bought since then. We did also order a vacuum bag for our mattress since we upgraded to a king-size bed, which I swore I wouldn't do, but we did because of the dogs. So now we have a spare queen mattress floating around, and nobody really wants it or has room for it, so we're going to vacuum seal it and store it down in the basement, because once we hopefully get the shed ready for the youngest to move out there, then we can leave the bed he's currently using in the spare bedroom. So if we wanted to have guests or anything, and the other bed could go outside in the shed. Not outside, but in the shed. Or we can move his out there, and then the one we're not using anymore can go in the bedroom. However that works out. They're both the same size, so I don't think it will matter one way or the other. And as I'm working here, I'm starting to see what people were saying about the grid being just a little bit too small. So we'll see how this goes for me. I like this kit, and I don't necessarily want to abandon it, but if it's going to be difficult the whole way through, then I may just have to, because I am not up for fighting with another kit the way I had to fight with the Heaven and Earth design. We went up to my mother-in-law's last weekend for dinner, had barbecue, it was good, and then found out my brother-in-law was going to be making his maple syrup this week. He said he's like 3 weeks behind where he usually is, but I think he said he got about the same amount of sap as last year, so we'll see how much he makes, because his supply was getting pretty low. Of course, he gives it out to everybody, so that's part of the problem. It's really good, and it's free, so that's always nice. And then we moved the furniture, so Oscar was exploring. He went underneath the couch again, underneath the pull-out section, which we pretty much just leave pulled out the whole time, because that way all of us, me, hubby, and the 2 dogs can fit on the bed or the couch. Oscar still has to have his pillows, but at least hubby and I have room to kind of stretch out a little bit. Anyway, he was going underneath there. I think he just went underneath there to nap, but all of a sudden we realized we didn't know where he was, so we start calling him. He can't figure out how to get out. Where he went in, there's some aluminum struts that support the pulled out piece, and helps it fold up neatly. He can get in, but he can't figure out how to get out because it looks different from the inside. So basically I have to pull it up like I was going to shut it, and then try to get him to jump out that way, which I'm like, he's going to get too big for this someday, and he's really going to be stuck in there, and then what are we going to do? Right now we just have closed it off with some blankets and stuff so that he can't see it. He was nosing around there at first, but I chased him away, so hopefully he understands that's something he's not supposed to do anymore. I mean, I wouldn't care about him getting under the couch as long as he didn't get stuck. Hubby and I were laying there right before we realized he was missing, or we couldn't see him anyway. And hubby says to me, "Something smells like cake. What is it?" And I said, "It's me." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "I don't really smell like cake. I smell like vanilla. I bought some new lotion and I had just put it on." He's like, "That's not fair. It smells like cake. Now I want cake." So apparently I need to make sure that I buy lotion that smells like vanilla so that I smell like cake. Is that going to make me more popular? It was funny. "What smells like cake?" "That's me." And he looks at me, "What?" And in some hopefully exciting news, we were talking about daylight savings time because one of the channels that I follow on YouTube had a rant about it. The lady on the channel does not like daylight savings time. She's like, it's pointless, it's dumb, it doesn't actually save any daylight or energy, so why are we still doing it? when we were talking about it, I had come across something that said Alberta doesn't do daylight savings time anymore. I don't know how recent that is, but I was talking to hubby and said, yeah, I didn't realize they didn't do it in Alberta. And he said, well, I guess Nova Scotia is trying to get all the maritime provinces to agree to not go on daylight savings time as well. I would love, so we'll see if that gets anywhere or if it just goes by the wayside like everything else seems to. Because I guess the lady that was ranting on YouTube was like, everybody's arguing about whether to keep it as standard time, which means we would right now go back an hour, or to leave it on daylight time. I'm of the opinion, I don't really care. Just pick one and leave it, whatever it is. Oh, also, the lady that is an expat in China, China is a huge country. It only has one time zone. Everybody in China is on the same time zone, which seems crazy as big as it is. Because the US has what, 4, 6 if you include Alaska and Hawaii? And there are states that don't do daylight savings time besides Alaska and Hawaii. I think Arizona is one. There might be another one, I don't know. But it just gets to be crazy. And my sister and I were talking about it, and I said, after all the studies they've done that prove that it doesn't do what they say it does, I don't understand why we're still doing it. Other than people can't agree just because they want to be stubborn. I don't know. Because when I was talking to my sister, it was when she and I were younger, it didn't last as long as it does now. Like, I want to say we sprang forward in like May, and then we went off of it in like September, October. Like, it literally felt like it was just for the summer. And then somewhere along the way, things moved, and now we literally, it started at the beginning of March, and it's not going to end until November. So we have 4 months of the year that we're not on it. What's the point of it? I just think it's a hassle, and it throws off everybody's circadian rhythms for several weeks, some people for several months before people get used to it. And there are people who don't ever get used to it. So starting to hope this is the only place I'm going to be using this color, because it doesn't look like I have a ton of these drills left. I think that's everything I wanted to tell you for my personal life. So I guess we can just move on to diamond painting stuff. So we're getting close to the end of April. So if any of you were still working on your oldest kits from our diamond paint along in March like I was, you have another week or so to get things finished, and then we're going to be starting our diamond paint along for May, which is to work on your newest kit. And I had somebody ask whether the newest kit meant newest in production or meant newest to them. And in my head, it means whatever you purchased last. But that could be, as this person pointed out, like her last purchase was something she bought from a D-stash. So it's actually an older kit, but she's just now buying it. And I'm like, no rules. Do what you want. The only rule is to follow the theme. If it follows the theme and you're happy calling it your newest kit, then go for it. So remember, these are just diamond paint-alongs for us to have fun and do things together as a community, and to share pictures of all of the pretty things that we're working on. I freely admit I am horrible about that. I need to just set a reminder for myself so I get on there at least once a day. It's the only drills I have left of this color, so I hope it doesn't come up again. Or if it does, that I have enough of those left. Feels good. How many colors am I dealing with here? 45, 46? Wow, it doesn't even seem like that many after having 2 trays of all little containers from the Heaven and Earth. Wowza, this does not feel like that many colors. I actually went through and dekitted everything yesterday from that one, cleaned off all the sticker residue because the stickers had been on there so long. So my whole tray of tiny size Elizabeth Ward knockoffs are clean and empty now. I basically have a tray of one of my Elizabeth Ward trays is now free. So if I want to use that for something, I can. And then I actually went through this morning and I took someone's suggestion. Well, the suggestion was for me to do it with all of my spare drills. I haven't done it with all of my spare drills because I saved a bunch of my spares are back from when I was doing a lot of budget kits and the drills aren't the greatest quality. And honestly, even some of the more premium companies, the drills then are not as good as quality as they are now. Someone suggested that I basically just dump everything out and start saving drills over again, which I haven't done. However, I did go through and dump all of these spare drills that I previously had kitted up for my last Heaven and Earth. I still haven't decided if I'm going to do the last Heaven and Earth because it's huge and it is just as much confetti as the one I just finished. But if I do decide to finish it, I definitely don't want to be using subpar drills. Like I said in the video from yesterday about the 1920s girl, that I've had my fill of working with subpar drills for the moment. Some of them were actually popping because they had tabs on them, and I had the same sort of issues even though I purchased my drills with the Pegasus one, and I just am not up to do that to myself again. Not only with this one did I have the popping drills and everything, but I also had running out of colors and stuff like that. So what I did was I dumped all the colors and drills that I had previously kitted up for the last Heaven and Earth. I basically just put them in a pretty jar, and I'm going to make like some sort of sand art or something out of it, or a lamp or something like I was always talking about. I'm going to do something with it. Anyway, so I'm going to start saving drills again for that project. So since basically all I have left in my collection is licensed kits now, then I should, in theory, have decent drills to save when I have leftovers. I mean, there is some confetti in this kit, but all of this multi-placing is so much nicer than the confetti that I was doing. And again, don't get me wrong, I like confetti, but there was a lot of confetti in that Heaven and Earth one, especially her headband and the background behind her back and the sleeve of her dress. So much confetti. But like I said, she's done. I'm happy with how she turned out. I learned a lot from doing that kit. So when I approach the next one, whether it's my last Heaven and Earth or just another cross-stitch conversion project, then I have more experience under my belt and I know what I need to do and what kind of problems I might run into and what solutions I can use. Because I do think that's a lot of the battle, is just mentally figuring out, okay, where do I go from here? Plus, I was super proud of myself for finishing that one because I ran out of stuff and I had to figure out solutions, whereas most of the time you're just putting down drills, right? Not thinking about, am I going to have enough? Am I going to run out of this color? What's going to be the closest color if I run out of this one? So I decided to work on this one because, like I said at the beginning, I really wanted to start on Slow Jazz because I thought I had the best chance of finishing that one before the end of the month because it's the smallest. But because it's a cross-stitch conversion, I don't have the symbols on the canvas to follow, so I can just place. I would have to think about where things are going to go and count things and all of that. And I just thought, I'll work on this one and we'll see how far I get. Because, as many of you stated, it seems like the grid size and the drills are maybe just a teeny tiny bit mismatched. So that's what's causing the issue the further I get along the canvas. So my plan is to work this side and then just work my way to the other side where I was having issues. And then we'll see what happens when I get over there. Because this is not a typical problem with Bella Art canvases. I mean, I want to say this is actually the first time I've ever had a problem with the Bella Art canvas because they're usually really, really good. I think that's part of the reason I didn't want to just abandon this one either, because their kits are good. I've done a lot of their kits, squares included, and never had an issue like this before, so I'm going to assume it's something I did at first. Somebody was like, well, have you contacted Bella Art? And I was like, no, because I assumed it was something I did. That's how my brain works. My brain isn't, oh, they did something wrong. My brain is, what did I do? And that's okay. Everything can't be perfect, right? If I got one bad kit out of all of the kits that I've done for them, then that's cool. Also, this was a PR kit that they sent me, so I didn't pay for this kit, so it's not like I'm out any money or anything. But their drills are such nice quality, so if I have any leftovers from this, well, I say that if it's the drills that are the problem or the canvas, maybe I won't save these, but I will be saving the ones from Benedict Blue. We'll see how I get along with Slow Jazz because I'm using spares for Slow Jazz as well, but that one is a round instead of a square. So maybe things will be less finicky with rounds. I don't know. I'm hoping that's how it goes. So basically, once I get all this purple filled in, this whole section here and all of these sections are going to be multi-placing that dark blue. I should get my 12 placer out and practice. Maybe that would help with some of the issues I'm having too. I might do that. Well, I think I have a 10 and a 12 from Diamond Art Club, so maybe I'll do that. I don't know, we'll see. Because I think I just put another 6 placer on the pen I'm using for Benedict Blue. I did have to force that one down a little bit in there, but I like that because that means they're fitting tightly together. It's that fine line between tight and too tight. All right, so you guys will probably see me kitting up sometime next week. Well, you will be, because what, Friday is May 1st? So I'll be kitting up my Floral Frenzy kit, which is the one that I'm going to be doing for the newest kit, Diamond Paint Along. And I'm going to kit it up in my new bottle storage that I just unboxed earlier this week. The bottles do hold twice as many drills as the regular bottles do. They're supposed to hold 4,000 drills as opposed to the smaller ones that hold 2,000. So a goodly amount of drills. Still not as much as I can put in the big Elizabeth Ward containers, but that's okay. I don't have to use Elizabeth Ward for everything. And if these turn out pretty good, if they work well, then they may become more of a go-to than my 60 bottle cases, just because they may become more of a go-to than my 60 bottle cases, just because they have more bottles. So I get 80 in each tray. That's 160 total for big projects, plus some of the larger kits that I work on have way more than 60 colors sometimes. Not all of them, but the bigger ones do. And I've got some pretty big ones, some that I haven't even unboxed yet, so I don't even know how many drill colors are in the kits. See, it looks like everything's fitting okay so far, so we'll see as I go. Also, don't forget that in June, we were also going to have a diamond paint along. So normally we do every other month. June and November are exceptions. In June, we do DP for pets, and in November, we do DP for veterans. So anything pet themed, I have several kits to choose from, and honestly, I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. I could do my Wilhelmina's Nook. It's a big kit, but it's got a corgi in it. I could do the Lucky Cat one that I bought for my husband. I could do my Mickey Mouse Christmas one, because technically Pluto is a dog, as is Goofy. I'm trying to think if I have any other ones that have pets in them. I'm sure I do. I mean, I'm sure I have things that have animals in them. I know I've got several dragon kits I could do. The Teratoff Kieran one I could do. There's a corgi in the London travel poster one. There's birds in the hibiscus one. Yeah, I have tons that I could do for that one. So that will be coming up in June. So we'll have 2 in a row, and then we'll break for July, and then we'll come back in August and do one. Give everybody a little bit of a break before we head into another one. I kind of would like to do one of my bigger kits, but it depends on where I'm at the end of May. If I finish the Floral Frenzy and probably Benedict Blue, then I would feel okay about doing something bigger for May, but we'll just have to see where I'm at the end of May. First, I have to get through April and all the stuff I need to get done for this month, since I spent most of April doing stuff that should have been done last month. So I'm a little bit behind, but that's okay. I can catch back up. It's not the end of the world. Also, I had a suggestion from somebody after my question tag video. They asked if I would ever consider doing a video where I was answering questions from subscribers. And I actually have thought about doing a video like that before, so here's your chance. If there's something you want to know about me, it can be diamond painting related, it can be personal. I don't promise I'm going to answer every single question, especially if I think it's too personal. But if there are things that you want to ask, leave me a comment down below. If you don't want to leave a comment, you can always send me an email, diamondpaintinganonymous@gmail.com, and ask questions that way. However is most comfortable for you is fine. And then once I have enough questions gathered to make a video, then I will make a video. Because in the question tag videos, I got a lot of great responses, a lot of great advice and suggestions from people. And I had a lot of really good giggles over where people said that they had found drills. I was sharing some of those with hubby and he got a good chuckle out of it too. So that was a fun question. So if you have a fun question like that that you want to ask, or like I said, whatever it is, feel free to ask anything. Again, I'm not going to promise that I answer every single question, but you can ask. I'm getting close to being done with this purple here, and then I can start in on this dark blue background. However, I do have to get ready to go to the in-laws because we are going up there for dinner again this weekend. I think I will leave it at that. I got some pretty good stuff done. The rest of this won't take me very long. I can multi-place most of the rest of this, and then certainly when I get into this dark blue here, I can multi-place all of that. And this is going to go much more quickly than my Heaven and Earth that I was working on, so hopefully the goal is to finish this one before the end of April. Don't know if I'll manage it or not, but I'm going to try. Don't forget to leave me a comment below with your question or questions if you have more than one, or like I said, if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always email me. That's fine too. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Oscar out in the wild eating sticks. Hubby's gonna go out and yell at him. We'll see what he does. Aw, you look so guilty. You're so vicious, Sable. Get her, Oscar. Get her, Oscar. Look at those teeth. Don't bite his ear off. Oscar's like, don't bite me, but also play with me.